Hey, uh, yeah, let's just get into it. As many, if not everyone, has noticed, or no one, Project Phillips has been going on for quite a while now. Maybe even longer than it's meant to be going on. So, what's the deal with that? Well, I'll tell you this. The deal with that is also the reason why Project Phillips has been glitching for the past couple of episodes. Because there is a problem, essentially. It's like let me explain how Project Phillips episodes work. So originally, the original idea was that each day was an episode. However, I soon realized this was not as stable as I wanted because I originally thought I was cheating by having some days where I didn't even do that much count as an episode. So what became, or if it was a 2 part episode, it became like a point 0.5, then it became a 0.25. You see where it goes from there. So you essentially had decimals, episodes that weren't full episodes, but rather, well, they could be considered full episodes, but rather were building up to something. So they became like fractions of episodes, if that makes sense. Uh, yeah. So that's where you have the whole idea of why Project Phillips has been going on for so long. So take the idea like Boland, that's a poet that we're learning about in English, and then stretch it to extremes, and then you kind of get this situation where Project Phillips has been going on for longer than it was. I don't want to say it should be because that's what I'm about to get into, but longer than it wasn't originally intended for. Uh, yeah. So now you have a situation where what happens next, and it's kind of like an asymptote in a sense. Like as as I'm approaching the 100th episode, right? It becomes a situation where it's like, oh, 90.5, 90.75, 90.76. Like it's like I'm gonna use an anime reference because I promised to use it in the last episode. But it's the episode before that. But kind of like Gojo's Infinity Thingy. So he's a character in this show called Jujutsu Kaisen, and he has the ability that you can't really hit him. So because he takes the space around him, right? And like let's say he has that as a force field. He has this. I feel very uneducated. Um, on academically, not academically serious gravity and source controller, but he has this as a force field, right? So this is one layer of the force field, and then what happens is that let's say you throw this at him, it can get past this, but then he has another force field behind it because he divides this one into two. Then he divides that into three. Then he divides it into four. So it keeps on dividing. It can never really touch him. While it can move and it's not stopped, it just gets to a point where it just like it's essentially slowed down to the point where it's kind of stopped. If that makes sense. So the closer you get, the more the space is divided. That's a very bad explanation. I do recommend searching up. It's a really cool thing. I actually really like the power system in Jujutsu Kaisen because of how creative it is and how it utilizes unique concepts and it's like not just one broad one broad stroke for all the characters. It's like each person has their unique thing. So like I know there's a gambling character later in the manga. It's really fun stuff. Anyways, that's how it feels with Project Phillips. As I get closer to the 100th episode, it's like that's almost continue increasing, right? So the problem with that is, what if I don't get to 100th episode? And not in the sense like, oh, I quit before then, but in the sense that the 100th episode maybe comes in December. Oh, it's going to come in December. The 100th episode maybe comes in January, February, March, April, May 22nd. I don't know. I said my birthday. That was actually by accident. But May 22nd. Uh May 22nd, June, July. Imagine if this thing you get where I'm going, right? And it might be harder to go into like decimals, just like 99.6.6123456789 blah blah blah, right? You still having a pi situation over there. And I don't want that to be Project Phillips. And I think I've talked about this idea before, but the biggest fear, and I think the reason why Project Phillips has gone on for so long, is I'm afraid of the 100th episode. Like, I do want it, because as much as I love Project Phillips, I do want it to end, because sometimes I need, like, sleep. Sleeping is so hard with Project Phillips, because you're always scared that a video didn't upload. So you wake up sometimes like at 3 a.m. and it's like, did the video upload? Then you have to go back to bed. It's like, okay, let me calm down. Um, but yeah, I guess it does help as an alarm. But I do want to end. It's just that I don't want to end on a note where I feel I didn't do enough, right? And that's really the biggest problem. And it's really overcoming that fear, because I don't want someone. The whole idea of Project Phillips was two things. I look back and I can be like, oh, this is how far I've come. Yeah, that's cool now. The other idea was that someone who's like looks up to me or sees something I did, like, oh, that person is really cool. I wonder how they got there. Or it's that person probably had a path reserved to few, right? Or like it's that person, like, I couldn't be like that person, essentially, right? And then they could look at Project Phillips and see, oh, that's how that person became that person. So I want to have the 100th episode where I can be that person, where it's like, oh, okay, yeah, look, but maybe that's too drastic. I think there's an idea called SMART goals. I don't remember the acronym, but the idea is you have to kind of scale it. And not to say I'm not going to become that like every day I'm becoming that person. And I can argue that I am. No, I'm not gonna be cocky, but yeah, it's maybe I have to reduce my expectations for what I can be or who I can be by the 100th episode, because I'm not gonna be on the Forbes billionaires list by the 100th episode, because that's gonna be in March, I believe, and that's not when I'm hoping to do the 100th episode. Uh, I think actually, 2032. Okay, I was just calculating some stuff, but 2020, no, 2032 maybe. Anyways, uh, yeah, I'm not gonna be on the Forbes billionaire list by the end of Project Phillips if it's ending in when it ends by December. That's it. I have to give some affirmations there, but I can't, like, I don't know. That's when I don't like when I come into Project Phillips episodes not having a solution ready, and this is one of the situations where I don't have a solution, because my fear is that I have to be something incredible by the end of Project Phillips, like, but what can I do by the end of it to really say, oh, I've done something incredible? And it's like, I don't know. I'm saying I don't know a lot, but maybe I have to review the clips to see, like, compare the pilot episode Dalu to current Dalu and see what's different, what's changed. Top Boy. Yeah, it's weird. I want to be something incredible by the end of this, but at the same time, two things. You can argue I've already done that, or you can argue that I have to be more realistic, and this is where we're headed into now. I have to be like, okay, let Project Phillips finish and continue my journey. And maybe Project Phillips isn't going to be end with me being like this incredible figure who has a statue or blah blah, who has a statue, or who's on the Forbes billionaire list or whatever, or who's funded all his charity goals, finished the whole ASA thing, who's finished my symphony, which still hasn't finished, but who's done all those stuff, right? Maybe it'll just end with someone who's working on those stuff. And I have to come to be okay with that. So rather than Project Phillips ending with this crazy milestone, it might just end with a snippet of my life, which I guess Project Phillips really is. A snippet of my life. Oh, that sounds like an episode title. Like when I want to do like a flashback or the end. Like this could be like, it could be called A Snippet of My Life. And it's like Project Phillips. Oh, we could like have an inversion, because on the Instagram post, if you only see this through YouTube. On the Instagram post, the way it works, I go Project Phillips, title name, but I can have an inversion and say like a snippet of my life, colon, Project Phillips. That'd be one of the coolest stuff to see. But yeah, that could maybe be how I have to end it, just as a snippet of my life. Instead of seeing it as a mountain climbed, I could see it as a snippet of the mountain climbed, a clip, duration, and so I think that would allow me to end it. Because with the current way I'm going, this fear, if not handled properly, could lead to Project Flows being something that's with me my whole life. Like, oh, I can't end it yet. I haven't become this person. Blah blah blah. Right? Uh, ah, Project Phillips, my symphony. Oh, gosh. Okay. So that's really my thoughts. Let's delve into what's going to happen next. I do want to do a couple stuff before you have. Let me give a general gist of the ending. Before Project Philip ends, I have to finish up my symphony, like the not the actual project of my symphony, but rather the explanation of it. So just know onto my symphony 4, or my symphony the end, or my symphony fully explained, that the project isn't ending. So if you don't want the project to end, uh, don't worry about that. But then that has to be done, and I'm thinking about another thing. I also wanted the game Let Me See to be done. That's a controversial one now. Controversial now in terms of like society, controversial in my head. Cause I'm thinking I think that'll be a cool milestone to end it off of, but if it doesn't fall within the time frame of there's not even a time frame. Let's say I have to also review some stuff, but I have to also review the time frame. I don't want this to be Project Phillips to be going on by Christmas. So before December 25th, uh I have to instead of restricting Project Phillips to the schedule of the projects within it, I have to restrict the projects. No, not restricting either. I just have to let them be their own things, kind of, because they're associated, but they can be restricted by each other. So that's my thoughts on that. Yeah, just know it can't end until my symphony is explained. So my symphony has to be explained. So don't worry about that. I was going to say something else, but I'm forgetting it now. Dang. Project Phillips, the Phillips project. Uh, yeah, that is the problem with Project Phillips. So that's why you've been seeing all the glitching. It's just showing that the future of Project Phillips is becoming very unclear and very unstable because I was refusing to address this issue. And now you should stop seeing the glitching effects. Maybe for some transitions because they look cool, but like in terms of the meta stuff, don't worry about that anymore. Yeah, it's coming to an end. I don't know when, but it's coming to an end. And that's a very scary thing, but it's the snippet of my life, and we'll see how it goes. That's one of the most open-ended endings I've had. So maybe I'll end it on a good note. Mod the meeting I talked about earlier, went really well. I was sick, so I couldn't hear like much of the stuff they were saying. Like I could hear, but it was like very you're underwater listening. Like it was a drowned out sound, but it was really nice. They were really excited. They started to get the hang. So the practice conference was a great idea. Whoever came up with it, I think they should give themselves a pat on the back. But yeah, an open-ended discuss. It just leaves room for me to think about Project Phillips, I guess. When will it end? That has to actually be discussed in further detail because it can't be something that's dragged on. But I also can't just say December 5th, Project Phillips, the finale. No, I can't do that. So, yeah. Have a great day. And let's see how this goes. Oh no, I was going to talk about the after effects. Okay, the after effects of this. So I think this leaves so much more in store because now I can actually explore different ideas. Um, I do wanna do something like a day in the life of maybe school or, what was another thing? Just different stuff, like a day in the life, maybe more devlogs. Uh, I also always wanna do, like, a speed painting thing, so maybe for the Pixar stuff, I can do a speed painting thing. Hmm. But yeah, another thing I wanna do was, uh was the, shoot, I'm forgetting now. Yeah, how to edit a video. I think that'll be fun. I do think that could just be something outside of Project Phillips. Unlikely it will be. So let me just focus on the main stuff, the website, the My Symphony, the tutoring sessions. That's kind of going well. Um, and let me see. So let me see. Have a great day.